Here's your First Warn Weather forecast first, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
Well, it's been a wet day so far across the state line. Lots of rain has fallen in some spots, far more than others. Temperatures, meanwhile, remaining a little bit on the cooler side in the short term, but they will get very mild for those overnight lows. We're actually going to see temperatures rise from this point. Right now, many spots at 56 degrees, and we will continue to warm those temperatures through the majority of the night ahead as our initial wave of rain moves to the north, and the second wave of rain will take its place as we head into early tomorrow morning. Temperatures, as I mentioned, warming through the night. We do get a little break in the precipitation, but steady rain returns early tomorrow morning. I'll let you know how long that wave will last and how much more rain we could see over the next couple days. Coming up, your most trusted forecast a little later.
Right now at 5, Americans are gearing up for Election Day, how some are taking advantage of early voting in Chicago. Plus, a State Line church celebrates nearly a century of existence, how one member says they've impacted the Rockford community. And 3 Rockford men get recognized for their time in the service, how one local group honors the Medina family.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Rianne Weil. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are 2 days away from the election and millions of Americans have taken advantage of early voting. Lots of people at the polls this weekend in Chicago, where school board seats are also up for grabs. WGN's Judy Wang has more.
Hi, would you care for a sample ballot?
Voters were in line in Evanston an hour before this site opened.
Certainly before Election Day, because I think there's going to be really big crowds. I just want to make sure my vote is counted, so if I get it in early, I feel like it's in.
The Civic Center has been one of the busiest in suburban Cook County, averaging 150 early voters per hour.
It's a very decisive election period this year. A lot of people have a lot of strong feelings on both sides of the fence.
Before sunrise, early voters were waiting outside this Lakeview library.
I met a guy who had just waited in line for 4 hours, and so I thought 4 hours in the morning when I would have been sleeping is better than waiting 4 hours in the middle of the day. So that's why we're here.
We're just waiting for an empty booth. These are privacy shields.
Early voting numbers have surpassed pre-COVID figures in the Cook County suburbs and in Chicago, where hours-long wait times were common this weekend. The Chicago Board of Elections reports more than 424,000 people have voted as of Saturday night. The Cook County Clerk reports about 488,000 have voted early and by mail. That is far fewer than in the last presidential election, when more people voted early due to COVID. Also drawing interest, a first for the city. More than 30 candidates running for Chicago school board seats.
You are seeing tremendous energy, signs all over the place. The question is, how educated are people in terms of the candidates for these elections? So far, it looks like people are starting to do their homework in this election. It's not just the presidential race that's bringing them out, it's school board.
You know, you want to make sure that all kids are having equal access to education, especially public education here in Chicago. And yeah, when that's on the ballot, I think it's really important to show up.
2 days out, some expressed relief. It's almost over.
I'm tired of all the fighting and everything, and I'm ready for the country to come back together if it can.
I just need to put an initial on the top here.
In Evanston, Judy Wang, WGN News.
Be sure to tune into your local election headquarters for the latest results on Tuesday. We'll have our reporters across the area covering the biggest races. Our special coverage will start at 9 on Fox 39. We'll also be cutting into programming with early results. To see the election numbers as they come in, you can also head to our website, mystateline.com, or just watch them on the ticker that will be at the bottom of your screen. Well, yesterday, Chicago O'Hare got some visitors as American Airlines invited area Girl Scouts for an inside look at the air industry. The girls boarded a plane and taxied to a hangar where they spoke with pilots, flight attendants, and ground crew about their experiences. They got to learn all about what it takes to be a part of something so important to our society. Organizers hope the event inspires more women to pursue jobs in the largely male-dominated field.
It's amazing to see how many women get to do this and get to have this as their dream job, and this might become mine too when I grow up.
I love this. It's still happening even today. And today's after all the years ago that I was a Girl Scout, today to see these new young faces, it's really fun.
American says about 130 girls participated in the showcase. And if the Chicago Marathon wasn't enough, today was the 17th annual Hot Chocolate Run in the city. The 4 different races start and end in Grant Park and range from 5, 10, and 15K runs to a 2-mile walk. The post-run party features live music, vendors, and a chocoholic finisher's mug full of fondue, dippables, and of course, hot chocolate. It was a little rainy for them this morning, but the tradition is something runners say they always look forward to. To some local news now, where City First Church celebrated its 95th anniversary today. Since its founding in 1929 as Rockford First Assembly, the church has grown into a vibrant, multi-location church serving thousands in Rockford and beyond. One of the most impactful ways the church has served the Rockford community is through its extensive food distribution efforts, which have provided nearly 3.5 million pounds of food to residents facing food insecurities. This initiative is just one of many ways the church has demonstrated its ongoing dedication to the city it calls home.
I just know that we are so grateful that we're able to be a part of a part of the Rockford City, and be a part of all the life change and a staple in the community. And we're continuing to look to the future of what God has in store for the next 95 years.
Flock says the celebration today was so special to the team, and the church is open every Sunday for services. And the Hispanic Gallery celebrated a Rockford family for their services in the United States Armed Forces. The Hispanic Gallery is a program through the Ethnic Heritage Museum. 3 generations of the Medina family were honored today. Vince Medina is the father of Larry Medina and the grandfather of Cole McCarran. All 3 men served in the armed forces, and today they were recognized for a Mexican-American Veterans Celebration. Vince and Cole are still around to enjoy today's celebration, while Larry passed in 1994. One organizer said it's always important to recognize the Mexican-American soldiers.
They're few and far between. There are some, there's more coming out as we speak, which is great because they were a big group of soldiers in the World War II, which was a lot of them that were in World War II. So there's just a lot of stories that need to be told.
Veterans Day is next Monday, November 11th. We will be highlighting many veterans throughout the area next week, so be sure to tune in. Well, the election is quickly approaching and the presidential candidates are finalizing their campaigns. Find out where they were this weekend for their final remarks coming up next.
Our temperatures continuing to warm here through the evening as we get a little break in the steady rainfall. I'll let you know when we will see that return and how much more rain could be on the way coming up in just a few minutes.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Rianne Weil, Drew Collins, and meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
In these final 2 days before Election Day, both candidates are across several crucial battleground states, hoping to win over voters in this extremely tight race. More than 75 million Americans have already cast their ballots, but millions more will head to the polls on Tuesday. ABC's Perry Russum has the latest.
Less than 48 hours until Election Day, both candidates closing in on the finish line.
I am looking forward to these next 48 hours to continue to talk with the voters and talk about the stakes and talk about the future of our country.
November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country, and together we will make America powerful again.
Former President Trump on a whirlwind campaign schedule, starting the day in Pennsylvania.
A very, very special hello to Pennsylvania.
Trump escalating his violent rhetoric, this time directed at reporters, referring to the placement of the bulletproof glass at his rally.
And I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much.
The Trump campaign trying to downplay those remarks on ABC News Live.
He was making a joke
about a shooter shooting through the fake news media?
And it's obviously he was joking.
The latest ABC News Ipsos poll shows a tight race. Harris with a 3-point lead nationally, 49-46. The 7 battleground states will be key.
In the 538 polling averages, Harris leading in Wisconsin and Michigan, Trump up in all the others, often by incredibly narrow margins.
Harris today traveling to Michigan, first delivering remarks at a church in Detroit.
This moment in our nation has to be about so much more than partisan politics. It must be about the good work we can do together, about our fundamental values, and about us as Americans.
Harris making several more stops in Michigan today. She's back in Pennsylvania tomorrow. Her campaign announcing a list of celebrities will join her, including Oprah Winfrey, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and Ricky Martin. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
And Boeing factory workers may end their strike tomorrow if they vote to approve the latest contract offer. About 33,000 machinists have been on strike for more than 7 weeks, shutting down production of most Boeing jets. Boeing offered workers a 38% wage increase over 4 years, a signing bonus and a boost in 401k contributions. At the end of the contract, machinist pay will average more than $119,000 a year. The union is urging workers to approve the contract when they vote tomorrow. It was a rainy day with highs in the upper 50s. Find out how long this rain will last. Meteorologist Jordan Wolf and his full forecast are in next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Well, it's only nearly 5:15 and it looks a lot more like 10:15 outside now that we are getting those earlier and earlier sunsets following daylight saving time coming to an end early this morning. It's also a very wet picture out there with our Mercy-L Skytrack camera overlooking Rochelle and a little bit breezy as well. Our first wave of precipitation lifting mostly through the area here in the short term, actually giving us a little bit of drier air now moving in, taking its place. But our next round of precipitation still developing down to the south and even some severe weather across parts of Oklahoma. And that is what's going to eventually lift our direction. Not as much in the threat for severe weather, but definitely that threat for some heavy rain may be on the way. We've already seen a decent amount of that heavier rain in some spots getting over 2 inches of rainfall. Meanwhile, out to the eastern part of the state line, not nearly as much as the forcing and moisture were not quite as high out and along east of I-39. Here in Rockford, so far, 1/4 inch of rain. With that rain and the cloud cover remaining very thick, our temperatures have been really slow to rise. This is actually the warmest that we have been all day today, sitting now at 56 in Rockford, Freeport, Rochelle, and in DeKalb. Our dew point temperatures also sitting in the 50s, indicating a lot of moisture that has now filtered in to the lowest levels, allowing for that rain to reach the ground more efficiently. Our weather watcher Terry out in Genoa reporting 57 for his current temperature, 51 the dew point. Winds pretty strong out of the southeast, 25 miles per hour, and precipitation just under 1/10 of an inch of rain for him so far. Our next few waves of precipitation continue to move in over these next couple of days. 3 main windows to keep an eye on here. Monday morning, we could see the potential for some steady rain to return. Monday afternoon, we get another break similar to what we have now. That will be in the form of some spotty showers, though. Monday night into Tuesday, that's when our heavy rain threat returns and the possibility for even some embedded thunderstorms. So there's our break, at least here in the short term, but some steadier rain and possibly a rumble or two of thunder mixes in toward the early hours of tomorrow morning. Once that lifts through, we do get another little bit of a lapse in those precipitation rates. And if we get some of this clearing, sunshine may allow just enough instability to build up to allow for some stronger storms, possibly to develop into Monday evening and or Monday night. This is the window we'd have to watch for any potentially strong storms, along with that threat for some very heavy rainfall. The axis shifted a little bit differently from the heavier rain that we had earlier today, most of that across far northwestern Illinois. Meanwhile, here locally, our next round going to be a bit closer to north central and northeastern Illinois. That eventually shifts out of the region, giving us additional shower activity as we head into Tuesday. And all of this rain eventually coming to an end late Tuesday evening as we get another cold front that comes through. As far as our total rainfall still goes, many spots could pick up an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain, possibly within this window. Some spots could even see closer to 3, possibly 4 inches of rain if that narrow band of forcing sets up, allowing possibility for some localized flooding concerns if those thunderstorms develop along that narrow area and continue to pass over the same areas over and over again. This rain again coming to an end by the time we get into Tuesday evening, bringing high pressure in for Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures a bit cooler, but still above average during that time. Some new cooler overnight lows before we rebound back into the 60s. Our next rain chance moving in as we head into next weekend.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Well, Drew's in next with sports. Lots of action for the NFC North, and he'll dig into the stats and the scores.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
Jordan could tell you the weather is getting colder, but in reality, the NFC North is starting to heat up. The NFC North is a combined 21-8 on the year heading into today's games. Every team is over 500, and all this week's games are currently in progress or being played tonight. The Bears are out west, so they got a 3 p.m. kickoff. The Cardinals came out swinging in the first quarter. Trey McBride scored, and they led by 7. But in the second quarter, the Bears scored 3 field goals, but the Cardinals scored 2 more touchdowns, including a 53-yard run with 4 seconds left before halftime. So far in the third, the Cardinals added another field goal. So heading into the fourth, Caleb and that offense have to rally for a comeback. And talk about a massive game. The 6-2 Packers hosting the 6-1 Lions. It was a slow start for the game. The Packers ended the first quarter up 3-0, but in the second, the Lions exploded. Amon-Ra St. Brown scored a tutty, and the offense got an additional field goal. And then Jordan Love threw another pick 6 this season. And then in the third quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs scored another touchdown. So there's still plenty of time left in this one, but the Lions look like they might run away with it. And to round out the NFC North, the Vikings host the Joe Flacco-led Colts for Sunday Night Football. Kickoff is set for 7:20. No NFC North highlights, so let's show the team leading the NFC, the Washington Commanders. They were hosted by the G-Men, and they got off with a quick slant pass to Scary Terry, and the Commanders take the lead. Less than 10 seconds left in the half, and the Commanders are going to extend their lead. Look at that pass. Jaden Daniels is so special, and so is that connection right there to 17. Giants ball, no more Saquon Barkley, but Danny Dimes reaches into his Saquon bag and lowers his shoulder to score. I didn't know he had that in him. The Giants weren't done yet. Now this pass to Theo Johnson, and the Giants make it a one-possession game with less than 3 minutes left. But ultimately, Jaden Daniels would close this one out with this first down completion. The Commanders win 27-22 and advance to 7-2 on the season. Transitioning from pro to college, let's check out the updated rankings. After destroying Michigan 38-17, the Ducks sit in first, and Georgia beat the Gators, so they are now in second. The Buckeyes beat Penn State and sit in third, and Miami, Florida, and Texas round out the top 5. I also have to mention the Fighting Illini losing to Minnesota has dropped them out of the rankings. And the Chicago Bulls are off to a 3-3 start this season, so they will face the winless Utah Jazz tomorrow night at 7:30. We'll see if Zach LaVine can keep up the hot start. He's averaging nearly 23 points per game. And yesterday, the Blackhawks pulled off a great comeback win. They scored 3 goals in the third period, forcing a shootout, and they would beat the LA Kings in the shootout. So that was a good win for them. But so they advanced to 4-7-1. And if you don't want to watch Skull Nation tonight for Sunday Night Football, tune into the Blackhawks game. Opening puck drops is at 7 against the Anaheim Ducks. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Rainfall rates coming down for a few hours here into the evening and overnight hours, but we do have our next wave of precipitation that will arrive early tomorrow morning. Heavy rain then may be possible Monday evening into Monday night. A few embedded thunderstorms within there as well. Rain eventually coming to an end Tuesday evening. That will drop our temperatures back down. Overnight lows back into the 30s for a few days, but warming again for high temperatures in the 60s by the weekend.
Thanks, Jordan. That's our show. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.